The moment my boss asked me to pretend to be her husband for 1 year, the air in the office seemed to crack open, as if a quiet, ordinary life had just been struck by lightning. I remember standing there with a file in my hands, my heart pounding, my thoughts racing toward every possible consequence. I had come to work that morning worried about deadlines and bills, not about stepping into someone else's marriage-shaped shadow. Yet there I was, staring at a future I never planned, wondering how a simple favor could carry the weight of an entire year and possibly change everything I thought I knew about love, dignity, and myself. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a moment to pause. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing the right thing even when it's hard, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. My name is Daniel Carter, an ordinary man from Ohio who had learned to keep his head down and his expectations low. I worked as a senior analyst at a consulting firm in Chicago, and my boss, Elizabeth Harper, was known across the company for her brilliance and composure. She was a Christian woman who carried her faith quietly, never preaching, but living it in small, consistent ways. To most people, she seemed unbreakable. But that day I saw something different in her eyes. There was fear there, and exhaustion, and a kind of loneliness that success could not hide. Her request did not come from manipulation or desire, but from desperation rooted in family pressure, corporate politics, and a past she was trying to protect. Elizabeth's family foundation, a legacy built by her late father, required its chairperson to be married in order to maintain a traditional public image. A board vote was approaching, and rivals were circling like sharks. If she lost her position, hundreds of employees would lose funding for programs she had fought to protect. She needed stability, a clean story, and a husband. Not love, not romance, just a presence. I was chosen because I was discreet, reliable, and, as she put it, someone she trusted to respect boundaries. The agreement was meant to be simple, but life rarely honors simple plans. The first challenge arrived the moment I agreed. We had to move into the same house to make the arrangement believable. It was a beautiful suburban home outside Chicago, warm wood floors, sunlight pouring through tall windows, and crosses mounted quietly on the walls. The house felt like a sanctuary that had been waiting for a real family, not a performance. I took the guest room at first, grateful for the space, but even that felt strange. Every shared breakfast, every coordinated schedule, every forced smile in public chipped away at the wall between pretending and becoming. Living together required constant vigilance. We attended church on Sundays, sat side by side, and bowed our heads in prayer, each of us carrying secrets we could not share with the congregation. I struggled with guilt, wondering if I was lying not just to people but to God. Elizabeth struggled too, carrying the weight of responsibility and the fear that one mistake could unravel everything. At night, when the house was quiet, the distance between our rooms felt louder than any argument. Then came the complication we had both tried not to think about. A surprise visit from a board member forced us into the same bedroom, the same bed, the same carefully rehearsed story. There was no physical closeness beyond what decency allowed, but the emotional closeness was unavoidable. Sharing a space where vulnerability lives changes people. I noticed the way Elizabeth prayed softly before sleeping, the way she clutched her Bible like an anchor. She noticed my restlessness, the way I stared at the ceiling, wrestling with thoughts of worth and belonging. Nothing improper happened, yet everything shifted. As months passed, the pretending began to feel like a strange mirror reflecting parts of ourselves we had ignored. Elizabeth began to trust me with her fears, not in words, but in silence, in the way she relaxed when I was near. I began to see her not as my boss, but as a woman shaped by loss, faith, and relentless responsibility. The challenges did not disappear. Rumors at work, the constant pressure to act naturally, the internal conflict of living a half-truth all took their toll. I often wondered if I was losing myself in the role, or finding myself for the first time. The turning point came during a charity gala hosted by the foundation. Surrounded by lights and applause, Elizabeth suddenly froze, overwhelmed by memories of her father and the weight of expectation. In that moment, instinct took over. I stood beside her, steady and present, not as part of an act, but as someone who genuinely cared. The look she gave me then was different, filled with gratitude and something deeper, something unspoken. That night, driving home through quiet streets, I realized that the line between duty and affection had blurred beyond recognition. Faith became our refuge. We began praying together, not about the arrangement but about guidance, honesty, and courage. Those prayers changed the atmosphere of the house. Laughter returned. Trust deepened. We still maintained boundaries, but emotional walls crumbled. I found myself looking forward to coming home, to shared meals and quiet evenings. Elizabeth found herself smiling more, sleeping better, breathing easier. The house no longer felt like a stage, it felt like a home. Yet every good thing carried the shadow of an ending. The 1-year mark loomed closer, and with it the knowledge that our agreement had an expiration date. The thought of leaving filled me with a grief I had not expected. I questioned whether what we felt was real or simply the result of proximity and shared struggle. Elizabeth wrestled with the same doubts, torn between responsibility and a heart that had begun to hope again. When the board finally voted, Elizabeth secured her position. The mission was saved. The crisis was over. Relief swept through our lives, followed quickly by silence. The purpose that had bound us together was gone, leaving behind a truth we could no longer ignore. We were no longer pretending for others. We were standing at the edge of a choice for ourselves. In the final weeks, we spoke less about logistics and more about meaning, about forgiveness, about fear, about the courage it takes to love honestly. I realized that the year had changed me more than any promotion or success ever could. I had learned patience, selflessness, and the quiet strength of showing up for someone else. Elizabeth learned that vulnerability was not weakness, and that faith sometimes leads you into uncomfortable places before guiding you home. As the last day arrived, the house felt heavy with memories. Packing my things, I understood that love does not always begin with romance. Sometimes it grows slowly in shared responsibility and mutual respect, in nights spent praying instead of pretending. Standing at the door, I felt the weight of a goodbye that did not want to be spoken. If this story has touched your heart even a little, if you have ever loved someone quietly or found hope in unexpected places, please take a moment now to like the video, share it, and let us know your thoughts. Your engagement means more than you realize. Just before the ending, I want to ask you something special. Please comment below and tell us whether you believe real love can grow from sacrifice and faith, even when it begins as a simple promise. In the end, what stayed with me was not the title of husband or the year we pretended, but the transformation that happened when two broken plans collided and created something honest. Sometimes God writes the most beautiful stories out of our most uncomfortable yeses, and sometimes pretending teaches us the truth about who we are meant to become.